About 2 weeks ago, I started to get notifications on YouTube that intrigued me. There were notifications for uploads, which I would then discover to be unlisted uploads, being put on the Sean Andre, aka Caffeine's, YouTube channel. And my first thought was, well, this might be someone who has gotten access to his YouTube channel, just sort of uploading and editing and unlisting and privating and whatever else, doing things on his channel for him in his stead. Then, however, he put up this video, in which he shows that he is out from prison. He's still like on probation and stuff, but he is still out of prison. And I saw this and I thought, what if? Because in his comments he also did provide a way to contact him on Instagram, which I did. And a couple of days later, we had scheduled an interview. Now, as a forewarning for this, however, I will admit the quality isn't amazing. There were quite a few problems because I was fairly certain that I would be able to record the interview off of Instagram, but unfortunately there were problems with even getting Instagram videos to work on a browser, so I couldn't use OBS and I wasn't going to do a phone recording. So we ended up recording on the first site I found on Google that allowed for an impromptu live video chat that I could then record with OBS. There are some issues that you'll see, but for the most part, I suppose the video isn't the most important part, it's the talking that matters.
Yeah.
Alright, so you wanna get right into, like, the thick of it with, like, the questions and everything? Because there are a lot of them that I want to ask.
Oh, yeah? So
yeah.
I should be prepared for a long haul?
Well, I don't know if it's going to be that long. There's definitely just a lot of stuff to, like, cover, because I did want to, like, get in touch with you before I even made the video, because, before then I hadn't realized, you were in prison, so, like, I was like already preparing some questions I wanted to ask about like your career and Idubbbz and all that, and now now I have more stuff to ask. So
yeah,
I feel like it might.
Supposed to.
I think it might be like also if you don't mind, it might be good to start with your time in federal prison and like what led you to end up there and everything.
Shoot. I mean, you touch. I saw your other video where you kind of got your research on it.
Yeah.
By the way, the first one you sent me before I even jump in, I want to say that was. I definitely have to do a reaction video. It was so good, and I had to think to myself like, am I saying that because you're talking about me and you did homework on me, or? But it was really entertaining. Like
it was. It was also fun to make. I will say it was a fun one to make as well. But yeah, I guess I do want to jump into like the questions about that stuff first, just like get them out of the way,
Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward, right? So you know the businesses I have, the SME lifestyle, self-made entrepreneurs, which were functioning businesses. It's just that I exaggerated what I actually earned so that I could get the amount of money that I got. So the truth behind the story is the reason why I even got into it. The other individual that was a part of the case, Gene Laventure, somebody approached me about it, and I kind of was insulted at the fact that they basically said they could help my business get a particular loan, and they would take 40% of it. So once I heard that, I was just venting. Because I went and looked up the program. That's how I learned about it. And I always heard about it. They was marketing this thing like it was, something. It was marketed everywhere. The radio, TV stations, commercials. It was like, it was everywhere. It's like these guys are really trying to give away this money. Basically, that's what it came off as, right? So I never really put thought into it. Then somebody approached me about it. Then Gene was like a mentor to me, a very good friend, somebody I knew for, many years. He's a little older than me, and he always believed in what I had going on, and he related to my ambition. So it's just somebody that I would speak with and give my ideas, go back and forth. And he was like a mentor. So once I vented to him about what somebody approached me about in the in a way of being insulted,
Yeah.
he took it as, man, you could pass that man my information. I'll do it. He'll do it for the 40%. And I was like, why would I let you do that? I could look into it and see if I, work something better out for you. I'm not a scum, so why would I already see what it's for, whatever the case is. So it kind of pretty much that's how the ball started. Then he got greedy. He's like, I have another LLC. Then it was just like, all right, whatever. Then I'm like, I'm watching this. I'm like, I might as well put something in for my company, which I did, as you see. And then I did it, seeing him get the money or whatever the case is. It's just like, I mean, my intentions are to further my career and basically build a brand, build a business. You know what I'm saying? So once he got the money, he kind of lost his mind, his marbles, which he went in. You could see he bought the mansion, he bought the cars, he just took out so much money within it's like I watched him transform before my eyes. Like I watched the man, like I would never take out a loan to basically live it. Yeah, it was crazy. And I get a lot of people look at it as you're taking taxpayers' dollars, right? But from the perspective of the program is a forgivable loan.
Right.
That was my thinking process. During a time of difficulty, right? I'm gonna tell you two sides to it, where my actions are wrong, regardless, because I took the time or attention from a business that probably needed the funding, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But as far as using the funds appropriately, the loan is forgiven. It's like giving away free money, right? So if you look now, there's a lot of businesses, a lot of successful people that were able to utilize the system to further their practice. As long as they use the funds accordingly, meaning they paid payroll, use 60% for paying their staff. So if I don't have any issues with paying my staff and I get an additional amount of money and I'm continuing, that's additional money.
Yeah.
And then I get that forgiven. So it turns into free money. There's so many businesses that furthered their business based off of obtaining it without having any damages occur. There was no criteria to have any actual damages. What did you make in 2020? And if you made that in 2020, 2019, 2018, we're going to base it off of those numbers. But if I never took a hit by the pandemic, I benefited. But so that was my thinking in the whole thing, right? I got the money and to do the right thing according to the rules. So what I did wrong was lie about how much I should receive.
Yeah.
Technically, I have a business and I have the right to a certain amount, but the certain amount that I asked for, I exaggerated those numbers. For most of the money, like 900,000, this is all in the court record, it should be shown. 900,000 went to employees. I had 50 employees, including myself. College students, just trying to promote, trying to build the business, trying to build the label, and the goal was to hopefully it takes off on itself. And it was just a lot of, learning and, stuff like that. So, I mean,
I do gotta ask one, question that's gonna be a bit, provoking, perhaps, how much of that money went into, production, for example, on, Degenerates? Because you can feel for, a jump in, production quality, video quality, the props, everything in that video. It's like...
So you gotta look at it like this, right? I didn't use the money that I got from the loan.
Okay.
I may have used money that... I have money at the time to put towards my projects. I have an income. I have a business. I have business income and such whatnot. But there is a percentage of the profits that I gained from doing what I did for Laving Tour that aided in that. But as far as any funding that I obtained business-wise, because I understood the rules, right? I looked at it like this. If I follow the rules, this is my intentions. I thought the law was based off intentions. If you do right by, your environment, your community, all is forgiven. That's just my thinking, my faulty thinking at the time. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the law is the law, and the justice system is not really about justice or truth when you think about it. Because if someone's intent is to do right by his community, that doesn't matter. That's not the case. So it's the argument in the legal system is basically a prosecutor's job is to prove that they're right regardless of the facts. Because there was a lot of exaggerations in what was stated. You know what I mean? Like there's a statement where it said, I'm speaking, there's a comment, they got a conversation between me and Laventure. He was basically showing me everybody that's getting in trouble for this, taking advantage of the program. And in the conversation, it showed everybody that got in trouble, they was buying cars with the money, doing lavish things. My thinking process is the money is not my money. It's to further my business. The way I get money is by building a business that continually to fund or pay a salary. I have a right to a salary, but other than that, that's not my money. That's how I always looked at it. So in the state, I made a statement to him saying, I don't want to hear about these people because they're doing fraud. We are actually building a business and a brand and helping out. Basically, funneling the money back into the ecosystem, back into the economy. That's how I saw it. So they used that statement to say that I knew what I was doing was wrong, and it proves that I'm a fraudulent person. But if what I'm trying to say is, if I'm saying my intentions are not to do fraud, you get what I'm saying? Is to boost the economy, use the money for what it's for. They use that to articulate that I'm proving that I'm a fraudulent person. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still what I did was wrong. So it's breaking a rule. A rule was broken. A law was broken, regardless of if it could go back and get changed. That was what was wrong.
You did bring up community, and I do want to ask, because it does seem from social media and everything that SME lifestyle and everything, it's gotten decently big in your own close community. And I was wondering, how did all of this sort of impact the way that community saw you and self-made entrepreneurs and everything associated with it? Like, what was their reaction to all of this happening and the court cases and everything?
So I learned a lot with going into prison. So
yeah,
I feel like it's something I do want to really get into depth about. My community, the culture base, almost glorifies that.
Right.
It's almost like the Robin Hood theory. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you did it. It's like a finesse. You get what I mean? There's the right way to do a finesse. I don't know if I'm making any sense with what I'm saying. There's the right way of doing it, and there's the wrong way. For example, what I mean by that is there's people that went and got the money, didn't need it, were able to stay under the radar, use it properly, but they didn't need it and benefited from it. So, and there's a whole culture that, the understanding your taxes, how to get something written off. It's a hustle. So there's a sector in the community that kind of like, you beat them at their own game. You know what I mean? So it's like that. But I do want to kind of shift and address certain things, because at the same time, people buy into certain things and they set themselves up to be incarcerated. And it's like, me being incarcerated affected not just me, even though my goals was to benefit my community or my family and my endeavors. It still it caused more damage than good. The 15 minutes of fame ended up being away from my family. I was a breadwinner, regardless of any crime prior to, you know what I'm saying? I have children. Me being there in their lives, that hurt them more than it did me. The environment I was in wasn't the best environment, but it was more emotional than physical. I want to address that in the culture, that because it's almost glorified or you verified if you have that, if you go through the
Mm-hmm.
system.
And I guess the other big question about that is, how was your stay in federal prison? Because
I mean, it was terrible, and at the same time, it wasn't nothing new for me. Um, where would I start first? I'm from like a rough side in Brooklyn, so I'm familiar with like the street, the mentality of the streets, and I just know how to maneuver in that environment already. So it's like when I went to,
are you kidding me?
I was probably a little too prepared. I was a little over prepared. I was a little over anxious. I was a little, I guess where I was because of my case, I was low custody, low to minimal custody. And I was in like, basically I was supposed to be in a camp,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't in a camp. They had me in a detention center in Brooklyn. And then the reason for that is, I guess, because that's where I'm from, and they probably knew already that I wouldn't be there that long, because I was
Right.
supposed to do 30 months, right? So the experience for me was fairly. Let me see, where do I start? As far as the environment, the kind of people that I learned one thing: everybody that's in prison is just trying to.
Oh. Cut out there.
Oh man, it was just, the environment was like living in a group home, because I was in like dormitories. We was all in one place. There's a lot of little things that I noticed at first when I got there. It's almost racially segregated, but it wasn't as bad as if I went to an actual camp. It was such a
Mm-hmm.
small environment that people had to deal with it. I used to like to fight, basically.
Right.
So yeah, but that's so anyway, I'll tell you experience. There's certain tables you can sit at, certain tables you can't sit at. So, and to sit there, you have to have something called your paperwork, basically your sentencing transcript, in order to prove that you wasn't telling or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know nothing about these things before going in. So I sat down, and somebody, kindly approached me, because this was not that kind of jail. This is not the jail of savagery and stabbings.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that. I just thought this is like my first or second day. I didn't know that. And I was like, yo, do I punch this guy in the face right now? That was just the first thing that ran through my mind. There was some other guys that I knew there, and I talked to them about it. It's like, nah, it's not like that, blah, blah, So I had to come down, and I had couple of little run-ins, but for the most part, once I gauged the environment, it was pretty smooth for me, because I'm a people's person. Real recognizes real, and like, I have nothing to prove. Like I rather mediate stuff, make sure everybody's good, because there's certain programs I did take in there that kind of help anger management. So I started having a different perception on how to react to different things. Oh yeah, one special day of all time, right? Is Thursdays is the special day in federal prison. It's Bird Day, which is the only day you get a quarter chicken, and there's always some type of conflict, because everybody wants a chicken, or they want two. They try to sneak another one,
Yeah.
or they play around. There was a time I did have a little issue with that, and I realized that because everything is taken from you. You wear the same clothes, it's the same color, so there's nothing else, So I remember one time one time I had to take a chicken, and then it's like, it's like it turned into, it's like, damn, this is what it comes down to. We over here getting getting into it over chicken. Somebody tried to
Yeah. When you
keep an
got nothing
extra
else.
chicken. Yeah. It's just like, no, that's the only thing. It's like weird because the stuff that people's, what you concerned about, you know.
Right, right.
Um, it was pretty emotionally draining too, because you can only speak to your family for 15 minutes.
Right.
Every other hour, you're limited to a certain amount of calls. You can't call till after 11. Mostly you could communicate through email. So, I mean, that was the hardest part for me, especially communicate with my children. I have three, trying to split up 5 minutes for three kids. That was hard. That was just like the
Yeah.
hardest part of the entire experience for me. And then it's just like after that, you figure the place out. It's like living in Groundhog Day. Every day is the same thing over and over. I was in a place called Cadre, meaning I was sentenced. There's another side where people's on pretrial, and they treat like you have a different class of criminal or whatever the case is. Like you have the white collar crime, you have the violent crimes. It's like a different type of. You're gonna have a different set of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, you have like when you go through violence, it's just like a more like you. It's a lack of emotional intelligence on how you deal with things, and that's just or it's just glorified to do violent things, and a lot of that in my culture, it is kind of glorified. So it's like you get a different environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the staff would talk to you any kind of way. You have to expect you're demoralized because you're being told to squat and cough. It's like sick. You taking your pants off in front of another man. It's just like I don't understand why the culture would promote anything that would result them into jail, and that's really the lifestyle that a lot of us buy into.
I did notice that you re-uploaded your original response to Idubbbz some time ago, and from the description, it sort of seems that you had sort of grown on your opinion towards what had happened back then than the video he had made and stuff, and you had sort of thought of it as like one of the first content cops in a way. Yeah, how did your opinion sort of change over time when it comes to that stuff, and like how do you see all that stuff from back then now?
I mean, I don't really. I would have to dig into the mind for that. Let's see. I feel like it's something that happened, something that I could have really took advantage of, and I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I don't post. As
Fair.
consistently as I wanted. Like I have that inspiration, then I look at the time, it's like, oh snap, a few years passed by, I didn't post nothing. That's basically the niche of it. You know what I mean? That's basically really it. Busy just working and taking care of your family and just doing the day to day. Running here, doing little shows, kind of living in the real world. I mean, now I kind of want to really dig in.
How do you feel like maybe I understand that like you sort of might see it as a missed opportunity or something, but like long term, how do you see that situation affecting like your career as a rapper, as like a producer, with self-made entrepreneurs and everything else? Because obviously, like if you look at like comment sections, you still get people hopping in from 10 years ago, from back when that video was released, still doing the same exact jokes.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I can't say that it had any effect, because, I mean, who's really tuning into my YouTube, to be honest? You know what I'm saying? And how much am I uploading? What am I giving YouTube? What am I giving the YouTubers that stop in? What am I really giving them? What content am I really giving them? I dropped a song here, drop a song there, a video here, a video there. Not really giving anything engaging. I don't engage with the comments and stuff like that. Like little stuff like that I need to learn or be consistent on. So as far as it having an effect in my career, I can't really say because I never dealt with that in the real world. You know, I've performed in numerous places. I've
Yeah.
never had that. I've thrown shows, events. I've never had that problem. Actually, the people we will joke around about it. I'll probably tell people that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I guess that's a crowd that I don't interact with and I've never seen in person.
There's the obvious thing to say, which is that a lot of them don't leave their house, so.
I'm not, and I'm not knocking them. I'm not knocking them. I think I saw a video where this guy was doing an apology video for all the content, negative content. Yeah, and one thing I always did say, I'm like, this is, it's a. I don't know if I mentioned that in my response, making a living off of people's misery or something like that. That's taxing at some point. And I see that. I get it. I get why he came out with that, because it's like my energy, even though whatever I said in my video, but my intentions are still there. I have a goal it's really to pass off information to inspire people vicariously, being the person to do it. It's the same. And it's just funny how the world works, though. You might have the right intention, but those with the negative, they flying. You know what I'm saying? The world gravitates to that like immediately, and the success is just crazy. Just like in my culture, like when I'm with anything I'm talking about negative or violent, it's gonna skyrocket. I can't speak on anybody else's experience, but I know for me it didn't really affect me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't see it as like, oh man, I didn't put much there for people. I was too busy trying to perfect. I was too busy focused on perfection rather than just let's keep creating. Let's just keep putting stuff out there. That's why my catalog is so limited, because I'm trying to be perfect, and I wasted a lot of time trying to be perfect or trying to wait for the perfect time. So I take accountability for that. I can't. It's a good opportunity. It was still. If I had something entertaining for that community, maybe they would have been like, all right, go eat a burger, but you got some good stuff, there's some here.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because I'm the one who these are my sayings. I'm the one who said go eat a. That's what took off. I said that, the Africanated, that's him.
Yeah, definitely African. That's. I do want to ask. That does remind me of another question I want to ask. You did. So it seems like you did move away from using the name Caffeine. So and you're just going by Sean Andre now. What inspired that, and is there some relation to the whole CQaffeine thing or anything?
Nah, it has not. It's all about growth.
Yeah.
As you start to grow, it's like I don't want a pet name. I don't want to be called coffee. I'm not, caffeine. You know what I'm saying? Just I got like, it's weird. I'm gonna be a grown man. Some people could still call me that. People that know me from then, from way back, they still call me. They'll say calf, stuff like that. But I started thinking I wanted to do acting, modeling, stuff like that. I got into a little bit of acting. I got into a little bit of modeling. So I just figured I'm just gonna run with my name. That was really it. It had no relation.
And there's one last question that I do have. Well, actually, two questions. I have one bonus one, but I do want to ask one more thing about Degenerates. There was kind of a suspicious jump in the views and watch time and subscribers when that video was released. And I did suspect, and I did mention in the video that there might have been some viewbotting. Was that true?
So I have a team that helped me with that whole project. I can't tell you what they did or how it was done.
Got it.
I had a production crew. At the time, I had on staff. I had a PR, I had management, I had stylists. I had two managers, so marketer.
Mm.
They took care of all of that stuff.
Okay. That's fair enough. And I guess this is my final question that I wanted to ask, which I've already kind of done it before because I was hoping it would, I guess, attract your attention. I did this at the end of that first video before I knew your situation. How do you feel about me using Degenerates as like an ending track in my videos? Because I do still like that song quite a lot.
I appreciate that. Yeah, go ahead, man. That's dope.
Awesome.
Well, so it's funny. Yeah, so you said I'm in fact actually a degenerate. You know what? I am. I come from, so you got to understand where I come from. You have to survive, right? It's survival of the limited resources. You find a way to make things work when you don't have the same accessibility as certain people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why when I said I don't have my, like, I've really had to figure out life from 16. I was on my own. So that's just what it is. You know what I mean? But I made something of it. I could have got in trouble for worse. Not to say that what I got in trouble for, but I mean, technicalities, that's what I got in trouble for. And businessmen go through that all the time. You get what I'm saying?
Gotta say, it's been great talking to you. I'm looking forward to seeing your reaction that you were planning to do. This I should also be able to like put out this interview kind of soon, hopefully. So yeah, it's been great. Good luck, man.
Thank you, man. We'll stay in touch, my brother. Good luck to you too. You got some dope stuff coming out, man.
Hell yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah, thanks. All right,
bless.
For a full unedited 42-minute one with a bit more banter here and there, as well as an extra video with my own thoughts on this interview, how it went, what I did wrong, what I could have asked more, as well as my thoughts on things that Sean answered, you can go and check the Patreon. That's right, the Patreon finally is going to have some proper content.